So hello and welcome back to the Potted RV. I'm Constance, and today we're going to go over pests and the pests I currently have in my garden now and what I'm doing to combat those very pests and what's working and what's not. Granted, I don't use chemical pesticides. I don't use the commercial pesticides. I'll typically use what I have on hand. And I'm going to go over a few points about it. One of them being about a week and a half ago, I had posted a video of my indoor roses that were just covered in spider mites. Now I have two indoor roses, one pink rose and one red rose. And one of them had only a little bit of spider mites at the time. It since had more, but the other one was pretty much infested. And we'll start with the one that was infested that was on that little short clip. And that one was this. Doesn't look so great now, does it? Now, it actually looks better than I expected it to, with the level of spider mites that was covering it. This one was almost completely engulfed in spider mites. This one, within a couple of days after I snipped off the ones that I had noticed, and I had done a lot of trimming back on this particular plant because it was showing an infestation of spider mites as well. And that's this one. A couple of days later, it was as engulfed as this one had been. Now, I've never had spider mites before. So I honestly, when I put that clip up, I had no clue what they were. I've had mites before, but never spider mites. It's just not something I had any experience with. In 31 years of gardening, I have never had a problem with them. So I had no clue what I was doing. And I had a lady DM me and tell me to try isopropyl alcohol. And that is exactly what I've done. Now, I'm going to bring you in close in a little bit and show you. This poor rose bush that dropped almost all of its leaves has an immense amount of new growth. It will snap back. It's definitely going to be just fine. What I did, now she wasn't very specific about exactly how to use the isopropyl alcohol, so I put a cap full of it in my hand and just splashed it on both roses. And 2 days I checked if I saw any movement. I splashed it again, and then the third or fourth splashing, I took it out and hosed it down with my garden hose. It has now been 2 or 3 days. Obviously, this one here is snapping back. This one here is actually starting to push out new growth and isn't yellowing out and acting like it's going to drop all of its leaves. So I think we're out of the woods. I'm going to show you how much damage it had done to this one. It did a lot. I was really stunned. So let me bring you down and let you see it. So as you can see, there's lots of new growth, but most of the leaves are gone. There is a lot of new growth growing. So it is snapping back, but as you can see, there's no more webbing. I don't see any movement of critters on it. So it looks like we're out of the woods with spider mites. And that goes with this one as well. And you'll see webbing, like, if I can find it. I've got a cat who's desperately trying to get attention. All over this one, but there's no little critter movement. I think the isopropyl alcohol really did help remove the problem. I had noticed a huge amount of death the first go round with them, and I was still seeing a little bit of movement here and there, so I kept splashing it. And when I finally saw that there was very, very little movement, that's when I brought them outside, and then I sprayed them down and isolated them for 2 days. They were isolated, both of them isolated for 2 days from all the rest of my plants so that I didn't have more. None of my outside plants have it at all, and I didn't want them to begin to have it. So, my allergies are having fun today. So if I bring you, let's zoom out a little bit. So if I bring you over to where the beans are coming up, I have some damage here. Oh, right here. That looks like cutworm damage. And given the fact that I have cited at least 2 separate cutworms, I'm dead certain I have a cutworm problem. And most of the beans are okay, but there is still a little bit of an issue with cutworms. And for the most part, I tend to let the birds handle them. And the reason I let the birds handle them is because cutworms, when I find them, I used to give them to the chickens. I'm not real sure what else that can be done for cutworms in reality. I don't like them, but I typically will just pick them off. What surprises me is normally about this time of year is when I start seeing tomato hornworms. And so far, I haven't seen any. That impressed me because I usually get infested with hornworms. I haven't seen any slugs, but then again, I don't have any greens out, so probably don't have any slug issues. I have seen aphids on my strawberries in particular, but I've also seen a great number of ladybugs, and that's usually my solution for aphids is ladybugs. I'll usually go ahead and buy the larvae and turn them loose, but I've seen enough of them I haven't needed to do that. And I haven't seen a major infestation with aphids. Aphids are kind of the bane of my existence. Aphids produce both sexually and asexually. All female aphids are born with clones, and all of their clones are also born pregnant with more clones, so they can overpopulate really, really fast. So they're always my biggest terror. But then again, I've never had spider mites before. And I don't like those little critters at all. I was very, very horrified. The level of spider mites. They overtake so fast, and I don't know why. Still researching on exactly how they find their way onto a plant, especially given the fact that these ones were indoor plants. And when I was talking to my grandmother's had them before, and I know they would have been on indoor plants for her as well. So really threw me for a loop. Now, I find it really, really kind of impressive. I've noticed something. I've never had roses indoors before, so there was something that caught my attention about it. And this does go along with pests and diseases as well. But my indoor roses, when they produce new growth, the new growth is green. Now, there is a virus for roses that produces really gnarly red, and that's one of the dead giveaways with it is the new growth is red. The thing is my outdoor roses, same exact variety, same species, same everything. Its new growth is red. That's normal new growth. All of mine have it. I'm not having any other weird symptoms of the rosette virus. And, one of the ways you can be certain that you're not having that it's new growth and not a rosette issue is the new growth as it gets bigger will start to turn green, which my outdoor ones are. What surprises me is my indoor ones aren't producing new growth that's red. It's really, really strange to me. I've never seen indoor roses. Now this one is, but this one is because it's been outside for a week. It was so badly infested that I genuinely figured the only thing I was going to be able to save it was splash isopropyl alcohol and sunlight. I wasn't sure if the sunlight would do anything, but I figured glossy, wet insects under sun. In Arizona, they don't make it. Maybe they wouldn't make it here either. And I don't know if that helped any at all, but it made me feel better. That's the reason why the new growth on this one is red, even though the new growth on this one, which is also an indoor, isn't. It's because the one that really took a beating from the bugs, hasn't been inside in over a week. And that was actually a fear of mine. I didn't want, because I wasn't sure that it had spread to this one at all, and I didn't want it to spread to this one here. So I ended up putting this one outside because I had nowhere else to isolate it. I do actually live in an RV. My only safe bet was to put it outside underneath the RV so that it didn't get scorched, but I could hose it down and try to get rid of the icky little critters. I think we've gotten rid of the icky little critters. I hope so. I do have a lot of roses though. A surprising number of roses. I didn't mean to have that many of them. Mine are all miniature roses. I don't have any full-size roses. I just don't have the space for them. I love roses. I'm allergic to roses. When it comes to pests, even when you think the plant is completely dead, give it a try. If you see any green at all on it, it's worth trying. That's not necessarily the case with vegetable plants, in fairness, because most of them are annuals and you're going to have a short season with them anyways. The perennial plants, even if they're just barely green, give it a shot. Typically, especially with roses, if their stems are green, if you can keep the stems green, the plant will oftentimes snap back. If the stem goes brown, like this one over here, which is one of my outdoor roses, this stem right here is dead. But it's not completely dead. It only died to about right there. And the rest of it is still producing new growth. And I'll end up cutting free the dead part of it and moving on. Now, I'm going to use... I'm going to use this strawberry plant as an example of, even though this isn't actually what this is. This is actually sunburning. But you can also have this happen with your plant leaves if they're too high of nitrogen. Now, this plant I know for a fact actually needs to be fertilized. One of the really strange things, if I can put them in view, the roses that I upplanted back here, those right there, they already are too big for the containers they're in, and they're in a 16-inch container. Strawberries get massive. The same number of strawberries in that right there are also in this. And this is so crowded that I consider that kind of crowding a disease. I know a lot of people don't, but I do. I think this is just too stressful on the plant, and it produces stress issues. Like, I don't have any of that curling on these ones. Those ones right there, I don't have any of it. But on the one that's on the table that's rooting, which some of them are rooting down, some of them are taking longer, which is why I haven't cut them free or done an update on that. That's the only, and it actually surprises me so far that those are the only pests I've been dealing with: the spider mites, some aphids, and cutworms. I usually, and then I would usually in Arizona would have already had squashes already up and out of the ground, whereas I only have them sprouting right now. And I usually would have squash vine borers already driving me crazy. They don't happen as much as I've seen other channels, especially people that are in South Carolina, just get decimated by squash vine borers. I don't have that problem, and I didn't have it in Arizona. I don't know if I'll have it here. It actually scares me to pieces that I might. I can't stand squash vine borers at all. And I would normally be pretty much heavily infested with tomato hornworms right about now in Arizona. I'd get decimated to the point where I would turn my chickens out into the garden right about the end of May, beginning of June. And the chickens and I would sit there and pull them off. And the chickens are not, they don't discriminate between squash vine borer, not squash vine borer, tomato hornworm and tomato. So it tells you how bad they get that I'm willing to just let my chickens go. Now I don't keep chickens anymore. I don't have space for them here, but I miss chickens. I do. They're good pest control. Ducks are better because ducks will tend to leave a lot of your other stuff alone, especially when it comes to when it comes to especially when it comes to slugs. Ducks are great. I adore ducks for slugs, although I don't like drakes. I can't stand drakes. My mom had bad experiences with drakes as a kid. They do bite and they can draw blood. They don't have necessarily teeth per se, but they do have serrations in their mouth and they can and do draw blood. They're not fun. I have a nervous factor. My husband and my son are over there, and I don't put my son on the internet. I don't agree with children on the internet, and mostly it's my personal views. I don't hold it against any parent who chooses to do so, but I don't put my kid, and I don't agree with it because of the fact, one, the internet is just not really a place for kids. It really isn't. And two, the internet is basically a public domain. And I would not have wanted my childhood blasted like that over public domain. I don't want to do that to my kid. So I'm keep looking over there just to make sure that they're not going to end up walking into the camera view. So I wonder, does anybody else have any unusual pests they're dealing with this year that they haven't dealt with in the past? I know there's two of them actually that I've had in the past that I'm so far, knock on wood, so far I'm not dealing with this year. One of them is the tomato hornworm, which my tomatoes are right there. And the other one, but I haven't had any of the brassicas out to find out for certain. The other one is flea beetles. I used to have a serious problem with flea beetles in Arizona that I couldn't put brassicas out unless they were 6 inches tall. Otherwise, they'd get decimated by flea beetles. So, is anyone else having pest problems that they're not accustomed to, or not seeing a pest problem that they're used to having? I'd love to know. Leave a comment down below, and I hope to hear from you on it. I enjoy talking to everybody. Anyways, hopefully I can show some of the pests. I don't have footage of any aphids. I couldn't get footage of them. I was looking through and it looks like the ladybugs have kind of gone to town, so I'm not seeing any, which is nice. I don't have footage of tomato hornworms because in Arizona I didn't do a YouTube channel, so I'd never recorded them. And flea beetles are teeny tiny, and I haven't seen them this year too. Done a recording on them. Anyway, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Hopefully you'll leave a comment and I can hear back from you as to what you deal with. I enjoy talking to y'all. Truly have a blessed day, and hopefully you have fewer pests than I do.